When we think about community, right, this is what community is about. For workers, for people of color, for the unhoused, for immigrants, LGBT folks, and all the people our society neglects. Being part of a community is power.
He campaigned on building a people-powered movement, and the people voted. And in December of 2022, he was sworn into office to represent Council District 13. Hugo Soto-Martinez, hello, nice to have you here.
Thank you so much, Maria. Very happy to be here.
Okay, so there is the idealistic vision of, I can do this, something can happen, we can do change. And then there's now I'm sitting in the chair for 6 months and I'm seeing, how the machine actually operates. How's it feel?
I still feel the most optimistic that I've ever been in my whole life. But, the machine is real. Being an organizer is different than governing. Nobody ever does it alone. They do it because we're a community, and so we're trying to build that community in City Hall. I still wake up every day inspired and ready to fight, and I haven't given hope, and I think we're going to make a lot of positive change.
Homelessness, affordable housing, community safety, huge problems. How are you seeing District 13 fitting into the mayor's initiative?
I think we have a lot of alignment with the mayor.
My Inside Safe executive directive and initiative represents a citywide, proactive, housing-led strategy to bring people inside from tents and encampments for good and to prevent encampments from returning.
We did an Inside Safe in our district, and we talked to 65 people during our Inside Safe operation. 64 people took the housing, which to me was not a surprise. I've read the studies that when you give people adequate housing, people take it. It's when the housing is inadequate or is a shelter bed or just a congregate shelter, when they have to our housing should look similar to our housing. The other part that has been a learning curve is really coordinating all the different service providers in the district. A lot of folks don't know this, but within CD13, we have over 40 service providers that are dealing with the homelessness issue. And so what we did that was very different from my predecessor is we hired 3 full-time staff, and all they do is homelessness. They take the calls from the constituents. They work with the different service providers in the area. It's like what we're trying to do is have like a conductor for the orchestra of the folks doing the work, and so far, it's been pretty successful.
Do you know how the 64 are doing right now? Because you said 64 out of 65 took. Are they stuck? Did they stick? Staying in a good way.
Yeah, so they're still at most of them are still at the Hotel Silver Lake. They're on process to go on to permanent supportive housing, which does take time. You got to get your paperwork and your documents and do the whole thing that the county does, but they're on their road to permanent supportive housing, which is all good news.
And another issue that's obviously top of mind for you is fears people might have of evictions. So where are we on that? Because I know that was something that you're very vocal about.
Yeah, so I'm probably the only renter in City Council, and it is a concern. The evictions are going up. Now, luckily we passed 3 historic renter protections that will help folks, and there's many more that we want to pass. For one that we should absolutely have is if someone is being evicted or going through eviction proceedings, that they should have an attorney. The landlords, most of the time, they have an attorney.
Sure.
And so when you go, it's not going to be a fair fight. And in New York, where they implemented this, found that over 80% of the folks that had an attorney with them were not evicted. But to get to truly affordable housing, we got to really look at different kind of models. Land trusts or social housing or using our vacant land to do 100% affordable, for 99 years. We got to do it all.
So one of the triggers for you to run, you mentioned, was the issue with Echo Park, Lake, etc., and you took the fence down.
We sure did.
You did. Okay. So any concerns? How is it going? Have there been safety issues? Are people moving back? I mean, where does it stand right now? Is it a healthy place for people to enjoy from all walks of life in Los Angeles?
It absolutely is. If you haven't been to the park since the fence was taken down, I hope folks can go and check it out. It was a lot of preparation. We got a lot of pressure, take it on day one, but that would have been irresponsible. We met with service providers, stakeholders, community leaders, even the unhoused, some that used to live at the park. And we say, how can we make sure that we don't have to divide people, right? That because the narrative out there was the fence equals safety, right? That's the narrative that was out there. And we're saying, no, we can have safety without the fence, right? And so they took a lot of work. But we took down the fence, nothing has happened. And in fact, the people who wanted to keep the fence up are now part of our group to make sure that it's successful. And we all want to make sure that the park is safe, clean, and people are going to enjoy it, in the summer.
And what are you learning about the community that you already loved, obviously, or else you wouldn't have run for office? And what is the community learning about you in terms of how they can reach back? Are you getting DMs? Are you getting all that kind of?
People I think are starting to recognize that I just want to help people improve their lives. It doesn't matter if you're a small business in Larchmont or a street vendor in East Hollywood. We all see our destinies are all tied together. And me, I'm just a collaborator. I like to build community. I like to, have shared goals. And I think people are responding well to it.
I also was wondering, because I meant to ask this before, your parents were street vendors. And so one of the issues is bringing the vendors back to Echo Lake Park. So I realize I'm jumping backwards, but I failed to ask that question. So how is that going? Are they coming back? Is it all working?
They'll definitely be back they're still at the perimeters of the park. But we've had great conversations with them. We said we want you to come back, but we want to do it again in a collaborative way. And so we're working with all the different stakeholders, city departments, to make sure that when the park gets reopened for them, that everyone is on the same page about how we're doing it and why we're doing it and the values that we're doing it with. And so they've been extremely cooperative. And, I think people will see the park look the way it looked many years ago. Street vendors were there. And actually, we can even improve on it because now they're having buy-in with city government. They're not feeling like there's a combative relationship with the city, but rather a collaborative one.
How are you going to protect yourself and who you are as a person in the political realm, which invariably seems to change everyone?
I always say that I wouldn't have done this job if I didn't feel very deeply rooted in my values. For 16 years, I was a union organizer, and that sort of changes your personality because you learn that you can't do it alone. It takes a community. And so our slogan was community power. I continue to say my community will hold me accountable. I think the danger will be when I start, if I ever, start getting away from my community. But I tell my community, you have the role of keeping me accountable. You keep me accountable. And so I want them to challenge me. I want them to push me. I want them to keep me honest. And I think if you do that, you'll be fine because that's the way we do in the union. It's having that level of solidarity with your community. My community obviously now is much larger.
True.
But I tell them the same thing. I said, you have to hold me accountable. You have to have more power than me, so that if I do mess up, you can take
call
me
you out.
No, they can kick me out of office.
All right. Well, not to do that, but just to say hi. If people wanted to reach out or get more information about what's happening in Council District 13 and in your life, how can they do that?
Sure. So they can check out the city website, which is cd13.lacity.gov, or they can check out our Instagram, which is at cd13 Los Angeles, or they can also go on Twitter, same handle.
Well, it was delightful to talk with you. Wonderful to meet you, and I look forward to having this opportunity again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on this LA Current.